The demolition of Walgreens headquarters has happened. They paid $85 million in 2013. And they scraped it all in 2026 and sold it for 13 mil. What caused Walgreens to put themselves in a situation where today they're almost bankrupt? What did the CEO sign? What contract did he go into? Stick around to the end and I will disclose exactly what document they signed, what deal they made that put them in this situation. Walgreens as a kid was in every single corner. I'd go to Walgreens to get my chips and sodas, and I'd go get my mother's medication. And Walgreens was an iconic American store, right? They were on every single corner. I would have never imagined to read the type of articles that I'm reading right now on Walgreens. And it just goes to show that if you don't fight inflation, if you're not part of every single decision in your business and even understanding where our economy and our world is going, our tech, right? You can get yourself in big trouble. Walgreens was solid. Back at its peak, Walgreens had 9,560 stores. That was its peak. And right now they're down to about 8,000 stores. And that's a little over 128 million square feet. That is going to continue to drop. Tariffs are affecting Walgreens. This geopolitical climate that we're in is affecting Walgreens. High interest rates are affecting Walgreens. It's not just Walgreens, it's every national brand out there. But today we're talking about Walgreens. Right now, Walgreens has sold a big part of its headquarters in Deerfield, Chicago, for $13 million. And their plans are to put multi-family buildings there, medical buildings there, and retail. And developers have discovered that repurposing these office buildings really don't work. From the core to the windows, these office buildings range anywhere between 40 to 60 feet. And in order to convert one of these buildings, it can't be deeper than 28 feet. They need light in these bedrooms. They need light in the living room. They need windows. On these inner units with this debt, it's not allowing for developers to convert these buildings. So that's one huge problem. The second part is boring these floors for toilets and plumbing and sinks, boring 400 holes on this floor, making it look like Swiss cheese holes all over. It's making the building weaker. So these office buildings are basically obsolete. It's gotten to the point where they're scraping them. So data shows that it took 6 years for office buildings to hit bottom. Every owner is shrinking their office size. 80% of leases reset in the last 6 years. They go from 400,000 square feet to 200,000 square feet to 100,000 square feet, and they're continuing to shrink. And data is showing that the shrinkage has frozen. So the space that's rented right now is actually the space that they're using. And people that are working from home are actually working from home, and that's the new way to be. So now we have 172 million square feet of office space that we either have to repurpose or scrape. The new norm is scraping. Investors figured out here, like this Walgreens campus, they figured out it's way cheaper to just scrape it and build new. So what happened to Walgreens? Why did Walgreens lose? Why did the floor come out from underneath Walgreens? It's simple. They signed a contract with a pharmaceutical company. And the pharmaceutical company had control on how high Walgreens can charge for their pharmaceuticals. They had a ceiling on their price. And Walgreens at the time felt it made total sense. Walgreens felt, if that's the ceiling, we'll always make money. And it's apparent that Walgreens and their CEOs and their decision makers were not taking inflation into account. It's very important that you take inflation into account in everything that you do. The only way that you can really truly fight inflation is to invest. I don't mean to get off the subject, but that's really the only way that you can really truly fight inflation. Otherwise, your money sits in the bank and every year you lose between 1% to 4% depending on the year. But you lose because the cost of living continues to go up. So it surprises me that a conglomerate, a company like Walgreens, didn't see that signing this contract would really hurt them. Immediately after they signed, they expanded their footprint. They started buying land, scraping the properties around there, and putting up beautiful Walgreens. And their whole goal was these pharmacies. The pharmacy was the moneymaker. And when that pharmacy got capped, game over. And their competitor, CVS, did not have that problem. CVS did not sign an agreement like that. CVS had full control of what they could charge on their pharmaceuticals, and they were allowed to increase their prices. And this really was detrimental to Walgreens. Moral of the story, it's very important to adjust and pay close attention to every single decision that you make in your company. Sears, JCPenney's, Walgreens, the few box stores that are disappearing. You would never imagine that this would happen, but you have to make adjustments. Right now, we're in a climate, we have AI, we have quantum AI, we have integrations, we have automations. The world is changing fast. These campuses are getting sold, replaced with data centers. Just think of it. They're scraping 5,000 jobs away, and they're putting a data center there. A data center that does jobs for hundreds of millions because it's AI. And AI right now, if you use it, Claude Code, if you use ChatGPT, if you use Gemini, you'll realize that it is on a whole nother level. Walgreens and Spirit Airlines didn't do a good job of making an adjustment. December of 2025, they put an article up that if inflation continued at a rate that it did, Spirit Airline was gonna have cash flow issues. And most of these businesses right now, that's the issue that they're having, is cash flow issues. The moral of the story is read your contracts tightly. If you're restrained, if you're held or controlled in some sort of way, get out. It's not worth it, guys. You want to have free will in your companies to do as needed to survive and adjust. And if something prevents you from doing that, like a contract, in small writing, you have to make sure that you don't sign that document.